Welcome back to the channel. I'm down here at the roundhouse. In a recent video, I showed how I cleaned up this Dorian tool post and how we got it fitted to the 14.5-inch South Bend lathe that we have in the machine shop. We do have a collection of some brazed carbide tooling, and of course we've got a decent stock of high-speed steel tools. But what I would really like for this lathe is some carbide insert tooling. And that's purely from the perspective that they're easy to swap out. You know, you don't lose your positioning, your reference. And I think it's easier for the novice machinist volunteer, or should I say the volunteer who would like to be a novice machinist, to be able to use the machine a little bit easier. You don't have to worry about grinding a tool, etc. Even those are great skills. When you're trying to get something done, sometimes it's just better to take the shortcut, do the easy way, and use some carbide tools. Well, I'm back here in my home shop for the week. I only volunteer down at the roundhouse on Saturdays. And I managed to pick up some of these BXA style tool holders. I ended up getting one, and the chief machinist, Pete, he picked up a few of them as well. And we want to get some carbide insert tooling for them. There's a little glare on my scale here, but the slot size here is 20 millimeters, or about 3/4 of an inch. Now this is one of my tools that I got from Shar's. It's a 16 millimeter for my BXA style tool holders. And you know, this would be a decent size. The 20 millimeter would be preferred, but unfortunately down at the roundhouse we don't have anything of this size that takes a carbide insert. Several of the other lathes in the machine shop are larger, and they take these larger 1-inch or larger shank tools. And I think what I would like to do is take some of these that aren't being used and machine them down so they'll fit into these tool holders. Now this one here is about 1 1/8 inches, so this is going to take quite a bit of machining. I do have some other tool holders. I have this button insert tool that looks like it had been machined already. I'm not sure why it was machined. The top of it was machined at a taper, but I think I can machine these down to 3/4 of an inch. I have the feeling they might be hardened steel, so it might take a little bit of work. So I should be able to come over here to the Bridgeport and put in, a 2 or 4 flute end mill, maybe grab a carbide end mill, and I should be able to make fairly quick work of this. But as I was getting set up to do this work, I couldn't help but thinking, what would Rustinux do?
We have a secret weapon here.
Yes, you're right, Rusty. We do have a secret weapon here. So let me get my shaper cleaned up and get the vise trammed in. I want to figure out what size parallels I want to put in the vise here. I want to make sure I don't need to change this out while I'm machining this. And that I leave about 3/4 of an inch, just a little bit more than 3/4 of an inch of the tool holder above the vise jaws. That way I'll get the most rigidity out of this setup that I can get. This vise is pretty, well, I don't know how I want to describe it. It's not very good. It's pretty sloppy, and I don't think it clamps things very squarely. But it's the vise that I have. Yeah, it would be nice to replace it, but this is the original vise that came on this shaper, and I kind of want to keep it. I think it just needs some work. This whole shaper needs a little bit of work. It's a bit noisy, and it's not sitting quite level on the shop floor. It has a tendency to rock a bit. So Yeah, I need to do some work on it. And I think this tool bit needs a fresh grind and a hone. Well, it's got a little better grind on it. I honed it on a stone. It should be good and sharp. We'll see how long it lasts on this hardened material. I want to make sure I get maximum efficiency out of the shaper, so I need to set the stroke length and stroke position to cover the tool holder and not much else. Yeah, this machine, it's not really easy to adjust the stroke length and the position. You kind of got to fiddle with it back and forth, but I think I got it set just where I want it. I am going to use some anchor loop here as a cutting fluid. I do find this stuff works really nicely on the shaper and it doesn't smoke like oil does. I'm going to be pretty conservative with my depth of cut and my speed here. I don't want to go too fast. I'm only going to take off 10 thousandths here, but it's really only going to be the very edge of this tool holder because the top of it is tapered. Well, that first pass seemed to go okay, so I'm going to take another 10 thousandths. I'm not taking the full width here because of that taper, so I don't want to be too aggressive on this just yet. On this third pass, I did get a little more aggressive with the depth of cut. I'm at 20 thousandths now, but my stroke speed is still fairly slow, and I'm doing that on purpose. But I am getting a good finish, though. That went well, so we'll try another 20 thousandths. It's not quite taking the full width cut yet. There's still just that very little tiny, maybe 60 thousandths, 100 thousandths edge yet that it's still not cutting full length. But at 20 thousandths at this speed, I'm getting a nice clean chip. I'm going to let this go. I might speed up the RAM a little bit just so I can be a little more efficient and I'm not here for days. I've sped this up just a little bit. I have no way of gauging just how fast this is moving. The motor on this shaper uses a Reeves drive, so I crank a handle and that causes a lever arm and a variable pitch pulley, blah, 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 and it changes the speed of the RAM. I did go a little bit faster here. I'm still getting a nice clean chip. And my depth of cut is still at 20 thousandths of an inch. Increase the speed yet again. Still getting a clean chip. It is certainly making a little bit more heat. You can see the anchor lube is starting to steam a little bit. I am getting a little more aggressive now. I've sped this up a little bit, and I've also increased my depth of cut to 30 thousandths. Well, this is at 810 thousandths now, so I have about 60 thousandths to go. After one additional pass I did off camera here, I am at dimension. But just for fun, I'm going to take out this tool bit here and I'm going to replace it with what I am affectionately referring to as a shear tool. It's something I learned from watching Rustinox, and this is supposed to give me a really nice finish. Although I can't say I've had really great luck with it, but I've reground it a little bit and honed it. We'll give it a try. See if we can improve the finish on this thing. Unnecessarily so, but let's see if we can improve the finish. I have slowed down the machine, and I've also decreased my step over from 8 thousandths to 4 thousandths. And it is doing a pretty good job here. I am getting that nice, longer, curly type chip that I've seen on other YouTube videos that are using a shear tool. But it does look like when I was using the other tool, I was getting some strange tool pressure because it's not cleaning up the entire surface, just about 3/4 of it. So I might take a second pass after this. Well, I did decide to take a second pass, and it's improving. I've also sped up the machine here a little bit. The finish does look a lot better, but I think it could be better. I need to work on grinding a better shear tool, because whatever this is, it's not giving me the finish that I was hoping for. It's a good finish, don't get me wrong, but I was hoping for something just a little bit better. Well, I think I'm going to end it here for this tool. I think the finish came out pretty good. I just need to do a little bit of deburring on it. I think it will fit inside the tool holder just fine. Yeah, it fits in the tool holder really snugly. I probably could have made this a little bit narrower, but this will work. Now the question is whether or not the lathe, that 14.5-inch south bend, will be able to use a button head tool like this, but that has yet to be determined. I have this other tool holder here that I want to machine on the shaper as well, so I'll just insert some video sans commentary here. Well, still an excellent finish. I do really like the finish that the shaper gives me. Just need to deburr it here a little bit with a file and then do a test fit. Well, I do suspect that this particular carbide insert is going to be entirely too aggressive for that South Bend lathe, but it's the tool holder that I have. Might be able to find some inserts that are a little less aggressive for this holder that don't have such a large nose radius. And yes, I know that this thing is in the insert or the tool holder the wrong way, but I didn't notice it until I was editing this video. But I think that's going to be for the shaper action. I need to take these down to the roundhouse and give them a try. Well, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. It does really help the algorithm. Subscribe if you are not a subscriber. And an extra big thank you to all those that support the channel on PayPal and Patreon. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.